Hello, and welcome to the Shudder. This channel is dedicated to telling stories of spirits, cryptids, and strange events, most sent to me by listeners and some found in online forums. But any one of these stories could be one that makes you shudder. I can't say I was much of a believer in ghosts and the paranormal. I think it's because I spent so much time alone. I didn't want to believe in them, but one night in my renovated home, I experienced something I will never forget. I was having work done in the house. Almost every room needed something done. The reconstruction had been underway for about 2 weeks. There was clear plastic hanging as a partition in several places, and the walls were plaster patched. It was a mess. One night, I was lying in bed and thought I heard someone say my name, Jeff, but it also kind of sounded like a dog barking in the distance, so I paid it little mind. Then, I heard it again, but this time it was longer and more distinct. Plus, they said, Jeffrey, this time. I sat up and called out, "What?" I heard nothing more. A moment later, I got up just to have a look around. I walked down the hall and called out again, "Hey, you there?" Nothing. I was standing in the hall looking into the living room. When I turned to walk back to my bedroom, I saw a figure standing on the other side of the plastic that was hanging on a wall. I stared at it for a moment to make sure it wasn't my eyes playing tricks. They weren't. It was a woman, but she looked really bad. She would disappear for a moment behind the plastic, then reappear like she was backing away and then walking up to the plastic. The only problem with that is the plastic was hanging on a wall. There's no way a real person could do that. She looked almost nude. I could see the pale color of her skin and would look like part of a gown that had been torn off one shoulder. Her eyes were black and large, and her mouth looked like it was just a tear in her face. She stepped back once again where I couldn't see. The plastic jostled a bit, like a light breeze hit it, but this time she didn't return. I got the nerve to walk over and pull the plastic away from the wall, just to make sure, and it was just the wall, spotted with a bit of plaster, and then a cold breeze froze me in place. I stood there in amazement for a few minutes, waiting to be able to move again. Finally, I broke from my daze and walked back to my bedroom. I laid down and watched the hall door till I fell asleep. Who or what the woman was, I don't know, but I do think she was trying to tell me something. I'm a sales rep for a major textile company. I travel a lot, mostly driving. One night, back in 2013, I experienced something that changed the way I see the natural world. It was late summer in the South. Down there, even the nights are hot and muggy. I was traveling south on I-55 near Macomb, Mississippi. It was around 11 o'clock at night. I wasn't tired or sleepy, but when I got to a particularly dark stretch of road, a strange feeling came over me. All of a sudden, I could barely keep my eyes open, and I had to stop. I saw a sign for a rest area just up ahead. I rolled down my windows, turned up the radio, and willed myself to make it to that rest area. When I pulled in, it was empty, other than one big rig parked on the other side of the on-ramp going back out. There was a restroom and some vending machines there. It was well lit, and I got no sense there was anything out of the ordinary. I went into the men's room to take care of business, found a clean stall, and settled in. While I was sitting there, I heard what sounded like voices. They were very faint, and I knew they were not in the restroom area. This sounded like it was on the other side of the wall from me, near the woods. The voices stopped for a second or two, then the most horrendous scream I've ever heard echoed through the hallway dividing the men's and women's restrooms. It was no doubt a child, and they were screaming, "Help! Someone please help!" I had a pistol, but I had left it in my car. I decided I would go for my pistol, then come back to try and help this child that was most definitely in some kind of trouble. I got ready as quietly as I could. opened the stall door slowly, and looked out to see if all was clear. I saw no one and shot out of there in a full sprint. I ran to my car as fast as I could, grabbed my gun, and headed back to where I thought the screaming might have been. When I got to the hallway separating the restrooms, I saw nothing. I crept toward the back where the hall opened up into the woods. It was very dark, and I could just see back there from the ambient hallway lighting. I peeked around the corner to the left and saw nothing. I quietly creeped over to the other side and again saw nothing. I decided to ease around the building to see if they had made it back to the parking area. As I made my way to the dimly lit back of the building, my pistol leading the way, I felt a cold breeze that gave me goosebumps. It was the worst sense of dread, a true creepy feeling. I stopped to have a look around, and standing behind me, not 8 feet away, was something that cannot be accurately explained. I saw a man-like figure with pale white skin. It was very tall and very skinny. It wore no clothing, but I could see no genitalia. Its head was oversized for its bony body, and its fingers were long and looked to have long, sharp nails, almost like claws. Its eyes glowed like cat eyes in headlights. I didn't hesitate. I fired 3 shots as fast as I could at this thing. I know I hit it all 3 times, then turned and ran for my life toward the car. I fumbled for my keys as I approached my car, got the door open, and secured myself inside. I took a moment to look around the building to see if I could spot the creature, but didn't see anything. I cranked my car and drove out of there as fast as I could. When I passed the semi parked on the side of the on-ramp, the door was open, but I didn't see anyone. I didn't stop. I sped past the truck and onto the interstate, thinking that thing must have gotten whoever was in that truck. I drove on for several hours, reflecting on what that thing could have been, till I reached my hotel room in Shreveport, Louisiana. I watched the news for several days, but heard nothing of a missing trucker in that area. I don't know what I ran across that night at that remote rest area, but as long as I traveled, I never stopped at another one. I hope you enjoyed those. If you did, give them a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you can join me again soon for the Shudder.